Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we got a game in the Azuma for you. There's the character Azuma. That's the one in the pilot seat. AP focus build on that guy. Azuma used to be kind of bottom of the pack, kind of a dud. I think it was a campaign reward ship. There's a lot of them out there still as we load into a Sea of Fortune domination mode game here. But one day, Wargaming decided, okay, they're going to give the Azuma a nice buff. And they buffed it hard. Harder than your backline Bettys are buffing their Deweys as they're watching their teammates get slaughtered in front of them. So it underwent quite a change and all of a sudden became kind of a menace. So this game is going to be, speaking of backline Bettys, it's going to be, okay, we got a 6v3 on the west side, and then we'll be participating in what essentially boils down to a 3v6 over here. And usually whoever's team wins those overmatches more rapidly will win the game, right? Let's say we overload the west. That means we should slaughter everything over there, capture A very quickly, then turn inward towards the center, start flanking the remaining ships on the western flank, hitting them in the sides, and wiping them out very quickly. That's a winning strategy. When you deploy an overload on a flank and then everyone hides behind an island and doesn't do anything for half the match, losing strategy. And this game should definitely have been a loss because the boys in blue, that's the strategy they employ. One of the most famous and common strategies played in World of Warships Legends these days. And that's why the majority of the players' win rates are well below 50% because they're playing losing strategies from the get-go. So, basically, it's going to boil down to me and a destroyer over here, each scoring 3,000 points. And if you need a pair of 3,000s in your team to squeak out a win, well, you're in trouble. You need to change the playstyle. And to be fair, I think we got a Kutuzov over here and a battleship. I don't even know if we know what he is. I think they do a pretty good job over here. Where basically our task is when we're on the weak side, i.e. we're facing more ships on our flank than there are blue ships. We want to slow them down, see if we can get a couple kills here. If we can remove some of them, getting a destroyer would be a huge bonus, things like this. But we need to let our majority side take the time to slaughter everything over there. Now, when you're on a team where the majority side does nothing, then you're in serious trouble usually. Okay, so that's why I'm saying it's going to take a Herculean effort over here. We got a little bit of early damage over here. We got a pair of Turpitses, we got an Amagi. The destroyer, the red destroyer is actually over here as well. And then I think there's a cruiser. What do we got somewhere? A cruiser somewhere. So there's plenty of targets over here. But we need to be kind of focusing on staying alive first and foremost. So I'm trying to avoid this island, trying to stay well angled on these guys. I don't want to be flashing too much broadside at all these battleships because you can see they got their eye on us. And they're starting to think about giving us a big whack. So we're trying to disengage here a little bit. Put this island between a fair amount of these ships. Generally, we'd like to engage ships one at a time or in situations where we have the advantage numerically. But I don't want to be sitting there trading shots with four ships that can all shoot me at once because that's a losing proposition. And even though the Azuma's got pretty good armor, it doesn't have the armor to sustain that sort of strategy for any sustained length of time. So this Turpit's around here. It's coming on the left side of the island, and then there's another one pushing around the east side of the island. This is a good counter. I think they're getting pestered by this Kutuzov that's right off on the right hand side of the screen when we zoom out there. And that's a good way to counter these light cruisers. Now it works really well on American light cruisers because they don't have torpedoes. But, typically Russian cruisers have very short range torpedoes as well. And if you push into them, generally you can kill them. Unfortunately for this guy, the Kutuzov makes a pretty good play here. He got kind of right in the middle of this island close range. He's waiting to see, okay, which one of these guys is going to come around here? Can I get him in torpedo range? And the Turpitz, looks like he's coming around with the eye on launching the torps. Saw him light off look like a main gun salvo there, unless it was the secondaries going. But then he's going to spend some time lining up, the torpedo strike. And the Kutuzov returns, forcing the Turpitz to angle. Now this is creating right angles or crossfire shots with torpedoes, just as viable with as main guns. So think about that as a destroyer, and if you got destroyers in your team that are positioned, near you but not too close, think about setting up those crossfires as well, because he turned to angle those torpedoes. We got a decent shot on the sides. Ping, 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 wake these guys up. Look at those guys. They're terrified of the two cruisers that are over there. And red, by the way, got C. They captured their flank very quickly. The main objective over there, the secondary objective, would be to sink the ships that remain over here. They did get the Kutuzov, of course, but the Summers, great job staying alive, and he got pressed very hard, and I'm sure it was kind of a frustrating open for him, but nevertheless did a good job to get off the cap and survive. Okay, if we lose him there this game, even if I have a 3,000 point game, we're still going to lose it because we're not going to generate any income on the western side of the map for almost the entirety of the game, and that would be a catastrophic hole to climb out of. Good combo there. The Summers hit him hard with the torps. Probably would have got him as well, but we made sure to hit him as hard as we could in the sides there. Get a little damage for the scoreboard, sure, but make sure that Tirpitz goes down. So we got one of them. Don't know if they were running the refueling build or the will to rebuild build, but nevertheless, we took away the option for invincible health for that guy at least. And now this guy, he's turning in again. He's got to be saying to himself, okay, who do I angle towards? Maybe the battleship's the biggest threat, but Azuma, do not forget this. Battleships, cruisers, destroyers, doesn't matter. Azuma's guns are now punchy and nasty, and they will do some damage. All right, so depending on, I still don't know if we see what battleship that is. It seems like he's doing a pretty good job, but depending on what exactly the threat was and exactly how far away you are to each of them, you might want to be angling against the Zoom as well. But we're not taking any damage, was the curious thing there. Now they had other targets to shoot. Certainly the destroyer looks like he's taking a little bit of damage, so they've been doing a good job shooting him, but focusing in on the battleship. And the battleship conceivably could be being refueled by our Summers at this time. So, if they are trying to get the battleship, they got to really focus him, make sure they negate that perk. You always just basically have to assume battleships have will to rebuild until you get them really low, and you see they're not automatically healing. Then, okay, they got something else. But by then, you might as well get rid of them anyways because they're low health battleships. Good time to get them off the board. So we're trying to chime in here. We got that battleship on our team on the ropes, but I'm trying to create the crossfires. We're trying to keep 1 or 2 squares between us so that it makes it difficult for the red player to angle against both of us. So you can create a decent angle on these 2 ships in this position, but the fact that one of our guys on the west is now firing shots over here, he's starting to have some spread out targets, and that becomes harder to defend yourself with. The rest of our guys, did they go to 8 for easy scoring for them? Easy XP, guaranteed, not a guaranteed, but increase in our odds of winning, which, by the way, increases your XP, credits, everything else by 50%. Now they're chasing cruisers, falling into the cruiser trap. Cruisers would love to kite the entire team off into Timbuktu, away from the caps. Draw an oval around the caps. That's the main focus of the battle. Cruisers on the edge of the world, nobody cares about them except for bad players who don't know what they're doing. So don't fall into that trap. Easy to avoid. Play the caps. Get on the caps. Why are we not on the cap? Very annoying to be on teams like this, but almost every team is like this, so I guess you could make the case that this is a very annoying game to play with because nobody's actually trying to win the game. Nevertheless, we continue on here. Colorado chiming in here. Now we want to protect ourselves from him. He's punchy guns. He's not going to care about our armor, regardless of what we're doing. So we're trying to get this island between us and him. And there's also another cruiser back there. Don't know what it is exactly yet. But and we're also noting, okay, we are getting spotted. Oh, there pops up a destroyer on the map there. And it's the Lightning. Lightning's low, and he already was trying to kill us. He missed one of the salvos. He's got one more probably. So I'm trying to pull into this island, get as much of that island between us and the last known position. Maybe he hit us here, maybe not. We'll find out in a moment. Did drop spot, didn't shoot. If we just randomly blind fire shoot here, he will spot us because of the smoke fire penalty. That would be a mistake unless we got him. Unless I was pretty damn sure I knew where he was and we hit him and hopefully sank him, then it would be a great play. But other than that, just guessing into that smoke, low percentage shot, and a good chance that we die because then he can line up torps, sees we're stuck on the island, and we only have one way to go, which is back up. Here he comes. He's out of the smoke now. He's got a shot off on, or we got a shot off on him. He's dead. Presume he's got more torpedoes, and most players aim on the indicator. So when he came out of the smoke, we were backing up. We immediately gunned the engine once again, and were able to turn away from the island. And there's the attempted kill shot. So, we did a pretty good job countering that destroyer there. Better torpedo aim, especially if you have 2 salvos like that. aim one right at the side of the island where I was kind of docked, and then one kind of where I would have to back up. I think you'd have a better chance at hitting one salvo or the other. Nevertheless, Baltimore and I think Weimar, the cruisers, now they're not really controlling bases. Oh my god, someone on the blue team actually got A. Is that amazing? Let's see. It took about 2/3 of the match, even though they had numerical superiority for the entirety of the match except for the first minute when everyone was deploying. So finally one of the ships figured out how to play the game over there. And that'll freeze the scoring in the background, right? But look at this here. They got one battleship and then 2 cruisers. So we're up 3 battleships and a destroyer. So that's 325 points just by ship composition alone. And if they kill 3 battleships and 1 destroyer, we would be down handily. So they don't really have to kill that much in our team to catch up here. Now it's becoming very, very hard, especially with 2 cruisers that can't really shoot from cover at this point because they have no spotting. So at this point in time, the game's becoming very difficult to win for red, but that is only because we won the fights. And if you go into the game thinking I'm going to win this by winning the fight, you're going to be losing at least half of your games. All right, your win rate is going to be abysmal. How you pick the win rate up out of the gutter is by trying to play the other way to win as well, which is capture and control the bases, sink the destroyers, sink the support ships, the cruisers. Shooting battleships all game is a very, I'd love to... I wish there was a way to test that. If people that only shot battleships, they'd probably have 35-40% win rates on average would be my guess. Because it's the worst strategy you can possibly employ. So try and get yourself out of that. Try and focus on, map awareness. We talk about it being one of the hardest skills to learn in this game. Force yourself in between shots. Zoom out, get a kind of a broad view, and then glance at the map. Say, okay, what's going on here? Oh, A's uncontested. Why don't I grab that? I'm near A, and that's worth hundreds of points on the scoreboard and hundreds of points potentially on the team score if you get the cap early enough and you control it. So easy play to make. Just start making it. So got the Weimar. He's getting low. He's getting pummeled here. Baltimore on the run. And you can see we got pretty good damage here. We're over double our ship's HP and damage. I think we will wind up with the high cal at some point. But this is just common. This video is just common sense in my opinion, but it's not common sense from a beginner's perspective, which is why we're harping on the point the entire time, and we keep coming back to the topic. You gotta play the bases and you got to push when you have numerical advantages, right? So I want to make this very clear. This should have been a pretty convincing loss for red. If they win that fight on the west, which numerically they should have, we just had a couple ships. I think the entire flank actually played pretty well, but our ships just happen to play better, and usually that's not going to happen. Usually they're going to play roughly about as good as each other, and the side that has more ships will win that side. Then they push into D. They start shooting those dudes that are sitting in the back. Do they have the controllers in the hand? Nobody knows. They start shooting them on the sides. They go down very quickly. The game ends. That's how it's designed to be played. The Summers, myself, the Unknown Battleship, and the Kutuzov prevented that plan from working as intended. So, again, this is the difference between breaking even on your win rate and having a better win rate. And hopefully I think most of you guys that watch this channel are trying to win more games because that's generally what the content's focusing on. So did get the high caliber there. We want to get the Baltimore off though. We don't want them to be able to run away. We'd like some more kills and points and all that. We got the final shot of the game because we will take him out. So there it goes. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the look at the Azuma. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming for you all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you guys, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.